Hello, welcome to eBritish IELTS. Today we'll be talking about the listening module and a particular type of question that you'll come across very commonly in the listening module. So today the entire video will be about filling in gaps based on whatever the recording says and what the question is asking. So now there are certain things you'll have to keep in mind which I shall talk about. Apart from that, gap fill-ups is going to be the most common type of question, and it is important that you keep a few things in mind. So the certain things that you're supposed to keep in mind are, first of all, to locate the word for your answer, pay attention to the words before and after the blank. Now, of course, in listening, what happens is they'll give you some time to go through whatever the track is talking about, whatever to read through the questions, to understand what the entire audio will be about, to make yourselves a little privy about what the entire conversation or the entire monologue is going to be about, right? So in that bit of time, like let's say 20 seconds to 30 seconds, what you're going to do is read the questions carefully and understand for yourself what are the keywords. And whenever there are gaps involved, the keywords are majorly the words before and after the blank, because this will help you understand what exactly is it that they are looking for and what exactly is the word going to be like grammatically, whether it's going to be a noun, whether it's going to be a verb, what exactly are they searching for. So if you read the words before and after the blank, it automatically starts making you think about what could be a possible answer to fit in there based on the conversation or the monologue they'll be having, right? Now the second thing you'll keep in mind is whatever you choose as your answer, whatever word that you've chosen as an answer, it should meet the demand of the question. Now, of course, every question asks something. There's a basic demand that needs to be fulfilled. So, whatever word you've chosen has to satisfy the demand of the question. For example, if the question is looking for the name of a vegetable, you can't just write vegetable. You will have to write the name. For example, it might be a potato, for example, as an answer. So instead of a potato, if you write vegetable, the answer is going to be wrong. They might have spoken the word, but it does not fit the bill there. They're looking for something in particular, let's say. So hence, be very careful about the word that you're choosing and ensure that it fulfills the basic demand of whatever the question is, right? Now, the second thing that you'll keep in mind is, of course, if there's a gap in there, there's some sort of information which is missing. So whatever word or group of words you choose, make sure that it completes the missing bit of information and gives a satisfactory response to whatever is being asked about in the question. And the last of all, once these two things that I've just spoken about are kept in mind, the last thing that will clinch the deal with your answer, it will seal the deal, is going to be if your word is grammatically appropriate in the sentence of the question or not. If it's grammatically correct, it makes sense according to whatever the question is asking, it meets the basic demand, you figured your answer out. Now, while filling in blanks, another thing that I ask students to keep in mind is reading the instructions. This becomes very important because the instructions will tell you if there exists a word limit or not. If there's a word limit, feel free to remain under the limit, but the moment you go above and beyond, that is where you've lost a mark, even though the answer might be correct, right? So without wasting much time, let me show you what an example of fill in the blanks or filling in gaps will look like. And I'll play the audio for you. Keep your ears open, understand what the audio is saying, listen carefully, and primary, focus becomes something which is super important while listening to the track. Okay? Alright. Moving on. Now the basic instruction says something like this. Complete the flow chart given by filling in the blanks. Write one word only for each answer. So here in the instructions they've painted the set limit very clearly for you. They've told you that you will use only one word and you cannot go above that. So keep this in mind while deciding upon a word for your answer. Now if you look at it, this is what the question will look like. So this is the flow chart they were talking about. So here you see that they're talking about some sort of an exchange rate project, and there's a step-by-step breakdown of what the entire process or procedure is going to be like. So I'll play the audio for you and let's see what exactly is it that they are talking about in this audio.
Section 4. You will hear a tutor giving some business students instructions about a finance project. You now have 30 seconds to read questions 31 to 36.
Okay, can you quieten down, please? Now, today I'm going to talk to you about your assignment. We've been studying the effects of the exchange rate, so I'm going to give you a project to do on this. Right, can you make some notes while I'm talking? The first thing that I'd like you to do in order to prepare this is to select where you're interested in. I mean, which country, and therefore which currency you're going to be operating in. Okay, now the purpose of the project is to make money, and I'm hoping some of you will make a significant amount. So, I want you to suppose that you have £100 that you will have to invest purely in the rises and falls of the exchange system. In other words, you'll be trying to predict rates. This is a project that you'll be doing together, but before you work together, you'll have to go off and research what you need to know about the economy of that country and how well it's doing or is expected to do in the near future. You could all make up a little information sheet with your notes on, clearly legible, because then I want you to get together, we can do that next week, and to go round and read about each other's countries. When you see how well or badly each country is doing, I want you to decide what your exchange rate is going to be against all the other currencies. After that is all sorted, what you're going to do is go round the other students and attempt to sell your money to the others. Remember, this will depend on the success of your country's economy and the rate you fixed for your currency. Now, you're not allowed to just swap currencies with each other, but you may wish to buy from the other countries. But you must do a proper transaction. All the way through this, you must keep your accounts properly for each transaction. I'll give you 1 week to do this, and then we will set a time for the deals to finish, a bit like the stock exchange. And at that point, I will ask you to calculate how much you have made. Is that clear?
You now have 30 seconds to read questions 37.
Alright, so now based on whatever they've said, it's a flow chart. It's a step-by-step breakdown of a project method being suggested by, let's assume, a teacher, and she's telling her students how to go about the entire ordeal, right? So everything in a flowchart will always be spoken in an order. They will never mess the order up. Hence the arrows, hence the drop down structure given here. So be very careful about one thing. Listen for synonyms as well. Like when we listen to the entire track, instead of money, they said currency. Instead of currency, they've said money. So they're replacing money and currency, and these are things that will help you figure out what your answer has to be like. So now if you look at the next slide here I have given you the area. This is the transcript of what the entire audio was talking about. And to understand better, we'll be looking at it very closely. So if you look at the area inside the box, the first area which is underlined says, the first thing that I'd like you to do in order to prepare this is to select where you are interested in. I mean which country, and therefore which currency you are going to be operating in. So now it's a progressive kind of a statement. She's talking about one thing, adds on the other, then reaches a conclusion about the next thing. So if you look at it, she's asking you to prepare and select what you are interested in. And now the question asks dash a currency. So what exactly is it that you are selecting? A currency. And how do we come to know about it? We read further, it says, I mean which country, and therefore which currency you are going to be operating in. So it's like a relatively given information. First the country and thus the currency of the country that you will be operating in. So what are you selecting here? The currency. So the closest word based on the entire audio that you can come across as an answer is select. Now let's check out what the answer has to be. So the answer becomes select a currency because that is what you are doing in this. Now, if you look at the second question, it says, imagine you need to dash 100 pounds. So the keyword here again is going to be 100 pounds, and it's a fairly easy thing to figure out because 100 pounds are going to be said as 100 pounds. There's nothing else you can say about it. So let's find the area where they've spoken about 100 pounds and what they have decided to do with that 100 pounds. So now if you look at it, the second area, the second place where we have underlined the text for you, we see. So I want you to suppose that you have 100 pounds that you will have to invest purely in the rises and falls of the exchange system. So you have $100, £100, sorry. And what are you doing with those 100 pounds? You are investing it in something, right? That is what the entire gist becomes. Now, if you look at the question again, imagine you need to dash 100 pounds. Now, remember in the very beginning, I told you the words before and after the blank will help you understand what kind of a grammatical word would enter the blank. Now, the word before the blank is to, and we generally use to before a verb. So, here we are looking for a verb, and the verb has something to do with 100 pounds. So, the closest thing we can find is the word invest because we can invest 100 pounds and invest is a verb as well. So, let's see whether this becomes the answer or not. So, for the answer, imagine you need to invest 100 pounds. So, you see, that's how we solve it out. Now, let's look at another example. Let's go to the last question, the sixth one. Now, before that, I'd like to tell you one more thing. If you look at these questions here, after the third one, there are two particular steps which do not have any question at all. Now, in case you get lost, in case you can't figure out what they're talking about, now these 2 points are the safest place for you to figure out and come back to track on the audio. At times, we do tend to lose focus. In case you do that, look for places where the answers are completely given and you don't need to search for anything. So once you listen to something like other students' notes or look at the other students, you'll be able to realize, oh, this is the area they're talking about. Even if you've missed the third, now you know that the fourth is what you will be looking forward to listening to. So your focus gets put together again. Now let's take an example of the last one. Here after a lot of steps they say dash your profit. So now the keyword here is profit, and instead of profit they can use some synonym as well. So let's look at the tape script and figure out what kind of words they have used. So here if you come to the last line of the section I have marked out for you, it says, I will ask you to calculate how much you have made. Is that clear? So now in this statement, how much you have made translates into your profit. Right? So it's like a synonym of what profit is trying to convey. So now with profit, you have to look for another word. What are they doing to the profit? Right? So based on this sentence here, which is the closest thing you can think of, I will ask you to calculate. So calculate is the only word which gets left behind. The rest of it conveys profit. So now for the answer, you will write calculate. So that is how we attempt things like this. We attempt gap fill-ups. Listen to the track carefully, understand what they are talking about. The faster you understand it, the better it is for you. They'll always give you time to read through questions, so make sure you utilize that time. They'll give you some time to read through the section you've attempted and rectify any mistake if you've made any. Utilize that time as well if you feel the need to do so. Apart from this, this is how we generally attempt gap fill ups. Give this a shot. I have not solved 2 or 3 answers for you. Try to solve it on your own. You have the answer in the video as well. Try to play and replay the entire thing, and let's see whether you reach the same conclusion as I did or not. Now, listening is a very, very, very simple module. It is one of the most scoring modules, and practice becomes a key element while attempting speaking. So, practice as much as you can. If you think that there are some problems you are facing with listening, log into eBritish IELTS, talk to our trainers, talk to them in real time conversations, and they'll help you with whatever problem it is that you're facing. The faster you seek help for something you are facing problems with, the better your output will be, the better the outcome will be, and you'll score better at the end of the day. So, as teachers, we hope that is what you do. Practice, practice, practice. If any help is required, feel free to drop in comments. Feel free to log into eBritish IELTS. We'll do whatever we can in the best of our capacity. All right? All the best. Keep watching this space for more videos.